Now, the race against time to stop the world's oceans from choking to death from plastic pollution has been given a boost. The satellite operator Iridium has been chosen to track and guide a seaborne army of huge plastic-eating robots. 6,600-metre-long plastic gathering robots are to be deployed in an area known as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch to scoop up 80,000 tonnes of plastic, which is lethal to sea life. Well, joining me now to tell us more is Iridium's Vice President, Dan Mercer. Dan, very good evening to you. So who's behind this project?
Well, it's the Ocean Cleanup organisation that have decided to form a massive float, as you described, 600 metres long, to float around the planet's oceans. Particularly, they're going with the Great Pacific Garbage Patch initially, in order to collect the plastic that is collated there over many, many years, in order to eradicate the world's oceans of that. And it uses the SATCOM technology to maintain control of that and give them successful operation.
And who funds this project?
Well, it's actually the funding was raised separately, and from our perspective, the connectivity onto the network was put on towards the end of the program, and what we're able to do is have the connectivity from all of the video cameras on board, 360 video degrees, and also the imagery as well, so that the ships can come back round and empty the siphons when they're required to.
You're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart, though. Presumably, this is a commercial contract for which you're being.
No, absolutely. It's a commercial contract, and it's fully funded. Yeah. And
how much is it worth to you, roughly?
Well, as with all of these connectivity scenarios, there's a price per megabyte. The frequencies that we use, L-band, it's a commodity. But typically customers are paying anything from $1 to $10 a megabyte, depending on their scale and volume. But it's it's not like cellular technology where everybody's used to very, very lower price.
Right. And I mean, are you going to have to put up new satellites, or can you do this out of your existing network?
Yeah, I'll just talk a little bit about that. Essentially, we're just coming to completion of Iridium Next, replenishing our entire constellation. We've been in business now for 20 years. And Iridium Next is essentially a whole suite, 66 new satellites in polar orbit, giving full 100% coverage of the planet, far more powerful than previously. And yeah, we have one more launch to go with SpaceX. They've launched 7 out of 8 of our rockets, of our satellites. So that's happening this year, and we'll be 100% back in 15 to 20 years of usage.
So you mentioned SpaceX there, Elon Musk's business, of course. I mean, there's a bit of a boom going on in the satellite sector right now. You've got people like SpaceX, you've got Jeff Bezos as well from Amazon. They're all trying to get new rockets into space very rapidly. Is that going to bring down prices over time?
So we're kind of like the old dog in this game. There's new space as well. So there's a lot of new entrants coming along with, under IoT and all of these new
Internet of Things. Yeah.
Internet of Things, exactly. But we understand, from deep experience of the business. When you invest that kind of money, it takes time to bring on customers to finance the huge loans that that are put in place to raise these put these constellations up. So we shall see. But yeah, good luck to everybody in that sector.
Well, but I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, during the last big space boom at the end of the 1990s, I mean, Iridium itself went bust and had to be brought back from from the dead. I mean, do you fear that this is history repeating itself?
So we have, of course, this time we have a completely different business focus. Going back 20 years, we focus on the vertical markets. Our users, there's 10 to 20% of the planet is covered in cellular and wireless networks. We cover 100% of that network. So, unsurprisingly, a lot of our customers are, located in that area. The days of the businessman taking his, his big satellite phone, which was, synonymous with the old Motorola days, are long gone. But what we would say is, be sure that, it takes a huge investment. Be sure that the revenue per your subscriber that you're going to get and access to those customers are going to be there by the time you've launched that constellation.
And very briefly, Dan, you've just announced a tie-up with Amazon Web Services. Yeah. What's all that about?
So, yeah, we talked about IoT. Amazon today, Web Services have access to 10 to 20% of the planet. We are plugging in our network into the Amazon Web Services, which essentially gives them full 100% coverage of the planet. That's a good thing for the end users. It's a good thing for the developers. Reduces the cost to launch, and obviously taking the whole surface of the planet to for the IoT section of Amazon Web Services.
All right, Dan Mercer from Iridium. Got to leave it there. Thanks for joining me.